Hello everyone, it's Silvia. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to have a look at a very popular deck. So, full disclosure, I don't mind this deck. I actually like it. I think it's quirky, it's whimsical and fun. It's also pretty, and I've exhausted all the adjectives that I wanted to use. So what I mean is that I'm not discussing today whether this deck deserves the attention that it's receiving from the tarot community. What I'm concerned about is rather the hype. And so I'm just asking myself, is the hype that is associated to this deck something artificial? Or, in other words, fake? Or is it because it is completely justified, because it's a beautiful deck and, people just find out about this from the word of mouth, and so there's so many posts. I mean, honestly, if you Google it or if you search by keywords and stuff, this deck appears everywhere. There's videos about this deck on TikTok and YouTube. There's Instagram posts about this deck. There's even when I look into the Facebook groups that I'm part of to see whether someone is selling it or asking for it, there is so many ISOs, so in search of, for this deck. And it does remind me sometimes of those decks that, they come cyclically every couple of years, and everyone is really responding positively to them. But at the end of the day, when I do get them, because I do have FOMO, fear of missing out, there's no two ways around that, and I'm happy to admit that. I mean, every collector has got FOMO, come on. And so when I do finally get them, I'm kind of perplexed, because it's like the movie Weapons. I don't know if you watched it, and I cannot spoil anything about that movie, because even if I tell you this much, it will be a major spoiler. Or is it though? Because that's what every single movie tuber or horror tuber out there is telling you. This movie has got one of the biggest twists in the entire history of cinema. And then we finally went to watch it, and I loved it, or rather, I liked it. But I don't think it was worth the hype. And as a matter of fact, are we being a victim of the hype that is created online? Is all of this hype about a movie, about a book, about a deck, ruining the deck, the experience, ruining, let's say, the experience that we may have with the deck? So I'm asking you, first of all, if you have watched Weapons, please don't put, you can say you have watched it, but please don't put any spoiler in the comments, because there will be other people that haven't watched it. But second of all, I really ask the community, please come through for me and let me know, have you heard about this deck? Do you like it? Do you have it? Do you like it? Do you use it? Or is it something that is going to be super duper popular for a couple of months, and then there's going to be the next one? It's always the next one sometimes. But in any case, without much further ado, let's have a look at this deck. We're going to do an unboxing, because I've seen it so many times, I feel like I know all of the cards. But I want to do an unboxing with you, so you will be able to witness my first impressions with this deck. And it's this one here. Let me just zoom in, because we want to see the cards very properly. So it's called the Daydream Tarot deck. And first off, I have to say, yes, of course, I love this card. It's the Two of Swords, most likely. And I like it because it's already telling me this person missing their eyes, or perhaps wearing a mask. I'm not entirely sure. I need to see the other cards. But these really black, dark orbits where the eyes used to see, I love that, because I'm thinking, of course, it's the Two of Swords, so you need to show in a deck, in a card, you need to show the impossibility to see. And sometimes you do it with the blindfold, sometimes you do it also with removing the eyes, something that is obviously very impactful, very intense. I would say it's a choice, obviously. And there's no, I would say this character is not too human-like, so I don't think that this card will be triggering for anyone, because to me it looks more like a robot, and you know, remembering some of the other cards as well. But I'll take it as a first impression. I would say I like this card because it shows me the first thing that I notice about this card is the lack of the eyes, and that means, you know, for me it really is in tone with a card of a Two of Swords. So obviously it comes wrapped up. I also like this character. So you will hear again, if you just logged in now, if you're just watching starting from now, I have absolutely nothing against this deck. I actually like it. What I'm concerned about is the hype. I feel that it's been hyped up in a, let's say, in a robotic way, in an artificial way. And so I'm just trying to understand, asking you guys as well for your opinion. But as I was saying, it is wrapped up, so let me just quickly remove the wrap. Okay, so here it is. So 2 parts box, and I have to say I am already liking it. It's got some gumption, this deck. It really shows you what you're supposed to see. It doesn't cut corners, goes straight to the point, and it makes it in a very effective way. But let's have a look at what it says on the back. So it says here, the Daydream Tarot deck. A perfect deck for a Rider-Waite-Smith lover, yes, who is not afraid of color. Absolutely love color and humor in their readings. Each exquisitely illustrated in a surreal, yeah, love that, dreamlike style that evokes imagination and curiosity. It's not only a treasure for the eyes, ironically, the eyes, it's a treasure for the soul. Okay, you know what? Fine, absolutely. It's dark, but there's humor in that. There's lots of color, love that. You know, it's surrealism, yeah, dreamlike style, yeah, absolutely. So I mean, you know, maybe I will end up this video saying that the hype is justified. I don't know though. Let's see. So 2-part box, and it doesn't come with a belly band, and it doesn't look like it comes with a book, which is fine. I don't mind. It's absolutely fine. It's a really sturdy box, by the way. And these are the backs, which are, may I say, to be the cards so colorful, I would have expected the backs to be a little bit more vivacious, but they're not. And it's kind of a contradiction. But if I look at them like this, I don't mind them. They're reversible. It's fine. It's fine. So cardstock, let me just pick one card. Very sturdy, very thick. Is it 400 GSM? It might actually be 400 GSM because it's almost stiff, almost. This is one of those decks that the more you use it, the better a tactile feel with it you will have, because it will eventually yield to, you know, your pressure, etc. So, but this is very sturdy, which means very durable, you know, and hopefully there'll be no fraying at the edges. It is not edged or gilded, which, you know, enter Silvia. If I had the time, I would definitely gild this one, edge this one. I would probably go with because I don't want to put too much darkness also on the edges, so I'm thinking not a black color. Maybe I will go with this kind of linen color that is on the backs, just to give it a little bit of a difference, you know, a bit of a contrast. But let's start and let's have a look at the cards. So we're going to have a look at all of the cards. However, it is my first impression, so I will miss stuff out. I will miss symbols. I will miss details. So please let me know in the comments below if you think that one card, you know, it deserves to be looked at for a longer period of time, because there's a lot to talk about that card, etc. So the fool, loving this fool, absolutely, it looks like a ballerina, but at the same time there is this sense of not taking themselves too seriously, because it does wear the typical makeup of a clown, looks like it, and also this cone on his head, which is a bit whimsical. And it looks like it's holding the moon by a stick, so I'm really liking that. But at the same time, we can see that he's almost ready to launch himself out of the blue and taking that adventure and having the spirit accompany him. I don't see any dogs or cats or any other animal creature here accompanying the fool in their journey. I do see, I don't know if you can see it here, but there is, it's almost as if it were a straw hat. So it's a hat with a roof made up of straw, thatched roof, whatever the name is. And I like it though. There is an air of peace, but at the same time the fool's eyes are closed, so it tells you, yeah, but you know, I'm also a bit irresponsible, which is something that you want to see in the fool, because I'm not looking at where I'm going. So I like it so far. Okay, the magician. So in here, this is not human-like, or rather, let's say, of course the body is, even though it's incredibly skinny, but then what we can see here is this really moon-like face, I would say, and the eyes are really strange, and there's you know, this slit as a mouth, and it looks like it's almost smiling but not too much, and holding these two globes, and there's another globe here and here. So it looks like these are tables holding these, and there's you know, there's a star here, there's a curtain. So this looks to me like it's a performing magician, rather than the magician we see in the RWS. But to be a performing magician, you need to have a full property of mastering all of the objects that you're using. You need to know them like the palm of your hand. You need to know how to use them. You also need to know how to divert the public's, the audience attention from the one thing that you're doing with the sleight of hand, and the one thing that they need to look at in order to be distracted and not notice your tricks. So it looks like it's a performing artist with this not too deep of a smile that tells us that things are gonna be okay, because you just have to follow him. So I'm liking it. The High Priestess is, I would say, I don't know if I like this card. My first impression is very artificial, if I may say it this way. I'm not saying the deck is. I've looked into the description, couldn't find anything that explained the art used behind the deck. But in any case, it feels like it's a bit closed off, and I'm not entirely sure that I want to see the High Priestess with their eyes closed. I would see, unless this points to, you know, the presence of mind and the inner knowledge, and so there is this kind of containment of knowledge, perhaps that is what it's indicating. But generally speaking, I'm not in love with this High Priestess, especially because it feels like these are not hands, but it feels like they're almost fangs. So I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, so the Empress, I like the Empress is standing what I believe it's, yes, it's a body of water. So there's water here, and we can see some ruins in the background here. Again, with the eyes closed and the globe. I feel like there's a little bit more symbology related to the way in which I read the Empress. So the water pointing to the alchemical element of water, as in, you know, looking at this nurturing side of the Empress. I'm okay with it. Eyes closed, again, it is an interesting take on the characters to give them either no eyes at all or closed eyes. So far we've seen only that, or really like artificial looking eyes. It's an interesting take. Again, whether I could justify for the High Priestess and not justify it entirely for the Empress, the jury is still out, but well, I'm taking note of that. Okay, eyes open, the Emperor. I just love this card. This gives me really grumpy vibes, as you can see, and I love the fact that there's a throne that is basically perched on top of the crown. I love it. I love this card. The way in which the body language is very clear, they're crossing their arms, so they're like, oh, yet another problem, you know. It feels like a grumpy grandpa almost, that is looking at what the grandkids are doing, and after fixing for the 10th time their screw-ups. It's like, well, you know what? I'm kind of feeling like I need to take a break now. But he's still looking in the direction of what the things are happening, you know. So at the same time, it gives you the idea that they are still strongly in their role of emperor, but at the same time, they're really fed up with it. So I love it. I love this card. And then moving on to the Hierophant, again with these eyes. So this looks again like there's no eyes in there. What I do like, it feels more like a hermit kind of card to me because of the darkness of the forest in the background. And you know, this looks like a match, so it's a lighted match with the flame here. This feels to me like a hermit. But yeah, I'm okay with it. I mean, the Hierophant may have some hermit qualities to it because they need to, you know, they keep on learning, but when they're learning, they're by themselves because it's a journey you have to take with no one else beside you. So I kind of get the hermit vibe in there, and knowing themselves and knowing what they need to learn in order to improve, and then start teaching in order not for their teachings to be obsolete. So I get the hermit part. Not entirely sure that it's effective as a Hierophant, but I like the card. It's just, as a reader, I'm thinking and I'm asking myself, would I read, if I didn't have the titles, I would definitely say, or the number, I would definitely say hermit here, but that's okay. So the Lovers card, very beautiful, very sweet. Again, closing their eyes, but this is kind of a given. They're kissing each other, so you do kind of see that. There is a total abandonment of the lovers. There's not the element of choice depicted here, but then again, how many decks do really do that? You know, the Lovers is a way for the creator to express the love between two persons. There's not a lot of symbols in many decks that point to the choice. So I can't be blaming this deck for not showing that. It's fine. And then the Chariot, which I really love. I remember seeing this card before in one of the many posts. I really love this card. It looks, on the one hand, it looks like, is it the Addams family that used the chariot, the black chariot, to go around? I can't remember exactly. But on the one hand, it looks like a chariot the Addams family would have used if they were using a chariot, if it were black, completely black. But at the same time, it reminds me of so many movies, you know, set in the 1800s, for example, where there were chariots like this, and they were really dark. But at the same time, you know, I love the fact that it's perched on top of what looks like a cliff top. And it looks like it's at the end of its travel time because obviously it cannot go any further. So that is an additional or a different perspective taken on the chariot. Does the chariot mean that you have already reached your destination and you can't go any further? I actually like it. I like that. So the Strength card, yeah, okay, again with the eyes, this is clearly a kid. It's holding up a block of cement, I'm guessing, so showing strength. Yeah, I get it. Very literal, I would say, not so much in the surroundings, so I'm not looking for any symbology here. It is just what it is. This is strength, uplifting something. And then the Hermit card. Okay, I have to do this, you know me. So let me just go back to the Hierophant. I mean, to me, these two look like they're coming from the same matrix, let's put it this way. With just a couple of differences. So this Hierophant is holding a match. This Hermit is holding a lantern with different hands as well, but they also have conical hats. I cannot see the eyes here. The eyes are very odd looking here. They're also in it looks like the background is a dark forest, which is justified for the Hermit, not so much for the Hierophant. And they have long beard and they're wearing a cloak. I like both the cards. I'm not saying that I don't like them. Maybe here they put the cloak or the whatever it's called, it's red because obviously that would be symbolical for the Hierophant. But I'm not entirely sure that, you know, it feels like they should have done something different for the Hierophant. I love the Hermit. Love the Hermit like this, but the Hierophant should have been slightly different. And let's have a look here. So what have we got? The Wheel of Fortune. And I'm seeing here what sorry, I'm wearing different glasses. I don't know if you noticed. Hi. And these are okay, but it feels like they're not as strong as the previous ones. I'm just trying different stuff that I used to have, you know, that I bought like a year ago, and I can't remember whether this is the right prescription that I should be wearing right now, and I can't really tell. So they look to me like they're Hebrew symbols, but I could be wrong. It's just that I really cannot see 100%, or let's say it's a bit blurred. Let me know if you know what these are. These are definitely symbols, they're not numbers. And it feels like they are Hebrew symbols, so it could be pointing to the Kabbalah, but as I said, I'm not entirely sure. This, on the other hand, is very interesting because this looks like an iris, so the iris of the eye, so, and the pupil in the center. So this is, I like it because there is this attention to the eyes of the characters, and this one feels like it's showing me all of the colors of the rainbow. So I'm liking this Wheel of Fortune. I like it. I like it. Justice, okay, not too much to be said here, of course. The symbols are there, and you know, Justice is supposed to be blindfold, so the fact that there is this kind of helmet that is covering the eyes, I'm okay with that. Yeah, I mean, not too much to say about this one. Oof, okay. So the hand one, sorry, I looked away because at first it gave me some kind of creepy vibes. Maybe because it's a very tall person, and there is a common element of the background in the dark forest in the background. I can't really tell if this person's eyes are open or closed when I'm imagining they're closed again. But there is this sense of direction of the hands. So normally if you're hanging like that, your arms will be falling down, but there is this sense of defying gravity. I'm not entirely sure about this hangman or hangman. Death card. So this is one of the cards that I also saw in one of the many posts, etc. I actually really like it because of the skeleton, again with really large eye orbits, and there's this sense of gravitas that the figure has because you don't see the mouth, so there's no expression. But it is kind of breaking the fourth wall and looking directly at you, and I love the fact that it is a skeleton here. You can see from the hand and from the feet as well. I like it because it's whimsical but very powerful at the same time, so I'm okay with it. The Temperance card, ironically, this character not only has their eyes closed, but they're also looking down. But it is definitely the angel. It gives you angel vibes because of the angel wings. And I like it because instead of the movement of the water between the two cups, this character is actually holding like a tray with a cup on top. So I like this one because it means that there's almost as if there were a stillness. So the Temperance card is also related to time, but it's related to time because it tells you that it's time to heal. And also because it points to the time as seen from a bigger picture, let's say, and knowing that time is infinite. And so looking at the fact that this cup is not in motion anymore, so the water is not in motion anymore, so time is in a standstill. And I like that idea because it tells me that perhaps it is the end of time. So loving this. I like the symbolism. I don't know if I'm reading too much into it. I'm just trying to see what I see, you know, in the cards. And the Devil, which has a very similar expression to the Emperor, like, really, you've done this again? Really? So it's almost, I love this. Really love this Devil card. It's whimsical, it's funny. It's looking at us and you know, it's clearly telling us, well, this is on you. I did not ask you to do that. You did it to yourself. And if you feel ashamed, well, you know, cry for your own mistake. It's all on you. I love this. The crossed arms and everything. The tower, very interesting. It's a standing tower. even though it feels like there's a lot of weight, you know, in this tower with all of these balconies and the chimneys that we've got, and someone who's, you know, standing on one of these balconies. I like it. I would have preferred to see at least a few cracks on the bricks of the tower, just to give you that idea that something is falling down, to make room for something that is steady, the idea of the tower, and it doesn't have that. The star card, which is my favorite card of all time, usually, I'm just trying to see and see my reactions to it. I like it. So there is a person, a kid, obviously looking up at a really massive star, I may say, so big that it feels almost as if it were replacing the sun. I would expect the sun to be this big in a cartoon-like illustration. But I like that it's the star, and I like that this kid is looking up. And there is this sense of loneliness because it's by himself, but at the same time, looking up represents that he's not given up on hope. So I really like this, and I like the fact that it's standing. This is almost as if it were a windowsill, so he's looking up at the sky and he sees the star and he's ready to jump out of the window to reach the star. So I'm liking this, I'm liking it. Okay, the same concept here, but in here we clearly see, because the character is seen at an angle, you can clearly see that he's looking up. In here you can't really tell that the character, another child, in this case I think it's a girl, is or not looking up at the moon. Not much else in here, so I can't really comment. The sun, okay, it's a sun with closed eyes, but it looks like it's smiling, so I get that. So the judgment card, which is also on the box here, as you can see. The judgment card, do I like this judgment card or not? So first and foremost, let's have a look at the eyes, because I do believe that it's one of the leading themes of this deck. So the eyes are wide open, and there is this sense of perplexity. Perplexity, yeah. So this character is telling me, because he's looking directly at me, and it's almost as if it were asking me what the heck is going on. So it's almost as if it were telling me, could you please explain? Because I'm surrounded by what looks like really scary monsters, or perhaps ghosts, you know, being the judgment card. And I'm not entirely sure that this is actually happening. So there is this phrase, you know, on the face of the character as well, that looks almost as if he were really, really scared. It gives me the sense of motion and tells me that he's really scared. But the mouth is more perplexed than scared to me. It's not a scary mouth, like, you know, an open mouth that is screaming. It's a mouth that is closed, and it's almost like, I really don't understand what's going on here. I get the sense of surprise in the judgment card, because it is a card that is telling us something that we probably did not expect, so I'm liking it. And the word card. I like that I see Italy. Hi! Although Greenland seems to be awfully big, and I don't really see the Americas here, but that's fine. So I would say, yes, of course, the arms in this kid look incredibly long, but you know, it needs to be really strong in order to bear the weight of the world. So there is something that tells me that this kid is probably gonna drop the ball sooner or later, because he looks like he's not that strong and the world is very heavy. But I like this card, I like it. Okay, so now we're looking at the minors. I don't seem to recall that they're peepish. I'm only gonna stop, because otherwise this video is gonna be super long, but I'm only gonna stop where I see something very unusual or something I want to comment on. But let's pay attention to the eyes, because I do believe that there is something there. So liking it so far. The 3 of Cups is a bit peepish, but it doesn't matter. The 4 of Cups as well. The 5 of Cups is basically a 4 of Cups without any liquid inside and any smiley face. So I could get on board with the 4 of Cups. I cannot get on board with the 5 of Cups. To me, this is it's beautiful cups and it's colored, and I like the drawings, but it's not a visualization that will help me convey the sense of the Five of Cups. Where is the sense of loss here? Okay, there's no liquid inside, and it looks like they're older. These cups, they're covered, maybe they're covered in dust. But that to me doesn't tell me that at least two should be full of liquid. If we want if we want to embody that sense of loss and crying over spilled milk and not realizing that something is still standing, I don't see it here. And now I'm kind of worried that it might be peepish, half peepish, half not peepish, you know what I mean? So the Six of Cups, okay. Sorry, this looks to me like a Seven of Cups rather than a Six of Cups, because there's different objects inside the cups in here. Maybe it's coffee with a different kind of, you know, when you go to a skilled barista, they make the heart with a cappuccino. When they give you cappuccino, they make the heart with the foam. So it looks like almost like it's something like that, but then there's different, they're all different. And this literally to me speaks like of a Seven of Cups, where you're looking at the cups and there's something different inside and you can't decide. So the Seven of Cups is just 7 cups. The Eight of Cups, so, okay. All of a sudden, the Eight of Cups is chalices and not cups any longer. I love the cat because, well, you know, it's a cat, so I love it. But is it really an Eight of Cups where you're supposed to actually leave something behind? Don't see that. The Nine of Cups could be okay for the Nine of Cups because there's this sense of abundance that is given probably by the different colors. So I kind of get it. It's still quite kind of peepish for me. Love this Ten of Cups. Love it, love it. Really beautiful. The rainbow colors on the cups, they're floating, so there's this sense of joy in the air. There's no family, which is, it's a pity. I would have loved to see a couple of more members of the family, but I like it. I think I like it. So the Page of Cups, loving this Page of Cups. It's all about feelings, it's all about liquids, and it's a hot liquid, so I like it. It tells me a lot about being an empath, but not knowing necessarily how to deal with your feelings, so yeah, I like it. And the Knight of Cups, okay, you know, the sense of movement, even though the horse is standing still, but it's okay. There is a mean of transportation. Loving this Queen of Cups as well, submerged in water with this cap as a hat, or you know, something standing on top of her head. Eyes closed, nurturing, but the very peaceful expression. I'm okay with it. Oh, okay, so this is a very tired looking King of Cups, almost as if he were overwhelmed by the sense of carrying these cups on top of his head and also in his hands. This gives me, if these were not cups but were like sticks, this will give me a Ten of Wands vibe. So I'm not entirely sure I'm with it. However, I do feel the sense of responsibility of the King of Cups, because when we talk about archetypes, he is the king of the Lord of Hades. So obviously there is this really strong sense and this weight of the role and the responsibility of the role. So maybe there is something there. So we're talking about Pentacles now. So fully scenic, not fully scenic, but then again there is this sense of juggling, maybe because they're in the air. I would have put one up and one down if it were me, but then again I'm not an artist, so I can't really speak. Three of Pentacles, I am entirely missing this sense of cooperation and team and working and accepting your role in society and making the most out of it, and you know, working together with others. I'm not seeing that. Four of Pentacles, yes, because they're all chained up, so it means they're not going anywhere, so you're keeping them all close to your chest. I get it. The Five of Pentacles, the sense of loss, I don't see that, unless we need to convey some sense of not knowing what to do or where to go by the fact that the character is putting their hands you know, around their, either in their pocket, I can't really tell, or on their hips, and maybe that is a moment in which you know, we recognize that we lost something and we don't really know where to go. We're being cast off, but we don't know where to go. So maybe the Six of Pentacles, I don't see that. It's supposed to be about giving and receiving the sense of motion in two directions. I don't really see this. Maybe this person is waiting for something to go his way, but there's no sense of giving back. The Seven of Pentacles, yeah, I can see that, but let me look at the difference between the Seven and the Eight of Pentacles, because that will tell me whether I'm happy with the Seven and the Eight. So I would say the Seven, I'm okay with the Seven because they're looking up, the character's looking up and almost evaluating what they've done so far, and there is a sense of direction and there is a trail here, so it tells me that they're assessing whether they should go back or they're going down the right path. So I'm on board with the Seven. I'm not entirely on board with the Eight of Pentacles unless this shows me the job that is already been done, but the Eight of Pentacles is all about doubling down in your effort, so I don't really see that. The Knight of Pentacles I could see this. This is a windfall, so there's the 9 Pentacles here. This is almost as if it looks almost as if it were an arrow pointing in that direction, and so this person's accepting the guidance maybe, but it's not too much 9 of Pentacles to me. But at least it's scenic and I can work with it. But then again, the 10 of Pentacles is very, very similar again, even though we can't really tell much about the figure. It's really dark. It's under the moonlight rather than the starlight. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure. Page of Pentacles, yes. Surrounded by flowers, closing their eyes, the peaceful expression, absolutely. And it's also younger, so I'm okay with that. You know, nurturing side of the Pentacles combined with the maturity of the pages, so fine. The Knight of Pentacles, you know what, I'm gonna say something that not everyone is going to like, but I'm actually on board with this Knight of Pentacles, even though there is no sense of movement. But the Knight of Pentacles to me is the person that, it's the soldier that obeys, that's got discipline, and you know, if you tell them to do something, they do it, and they really complete the task and they get things done. And so they don't necessarily have the need to see where they're going, they need to follow the order. So I like the fact that there is this kind of helmet here that is covering the eyes. So that's the one thing that I can say that I like. Sorry, have I been doing the odd thing, putting these ones? Sorry about that. Doesn't matter, I will put it back in order. So the Queen of Pentacles, okay, there is definitely a sense of having a lot of resources here, and also the movement towards giving the resources to someone. So there is the sense of nurturing that I do see in the Queen of Pentacles. To me, it looks like it's a bit darkish, darker than what I would have wanted for a Queen of Pentacles. But I'm okay with the idea of having an abundance and sharing it with others. And the King of Pentacles looks like, it feels like all of the kings on the back of the Emperor, it's almost as if they were already done with their job and now they're just taking a moment and resting, probably. Then, okay, the Suit of Swords is very important for me, so keeping my fingers crossed. I'm liking this Ace of Swords because it's the beginning, it's a child, I'm okay with it, it's fine. We talked about the Two of Swords because it's on the top of the box, as you can see here, and I'm perfectly on board with this. The Pip is Three of Swords, but then again, really, all the Three of Swords are Pipish in a way. The Four of Swords, I like it because there is this, I don't know if you can tell, but these to me look like dark eye circles. So when you're so tired that your eyes show how tired you are. So there is this moment of holding the two swords, but just being being still. And also maybe the fact that this looks like gauze. So maybe this child has been wounded and they need to rest. So I'm liking it. So this is the Five of Swords. I think I'm okay with this because it makes me feel like they're telling me the road is completely blocked off. They're looking at me, they're showing me the swords which are in between myself and these characters. And there's three of them, but they have 5 swords, so there's already that unfair advantage, but also the impossibility to go through. So I'm okay with this. The Six of Swords, I like it because I know that it feels, okay, hear me out because I've got a theory. Sometimes when we're reading reversals, we go back one card in order to make sense of the reversal. What if the Six of Swords were the reversed meaning of the Eight of Swords? So 2 cards back, but hear me out. This almost looks like it's the character from the Eight of Swords that finally realized that they're not really tied down, that getting out of that cage of their own making is really not that difficult because it's not locked. And so they finally understood that there is a body of water in front of them. And so the Six of Swords still is there in its meaning because it tells me you need to move on. Yes, it's going to be hard, it's going to be very, very difficult, but you need to move on to reach a better shore. And it also tells me, and by the way, by doing so, you're leaving the cage behind. I don't know whether I'm kind of reading too much into it. The Seven of Swords is rather peepish. I don't see that sense of having to do things against your own moral code because you're you're in a very difficult situation. I don't really see that in this card. I don't see the sense of betrayal. I don't see the theft. All I can see is these swords on fire, which maybe tells me that have been set alight, and so there's someone who's trying to hide the evidence. I don't know, but swords don't really burn down, so I don't know. The Eight of Swords, yeah, that's fine. It's the typical Eight of Swords. Okay, this is the Nine of Swords. I'm not entirely sure that I see the sense of anguish here that takes you at 2 a.m. and, and you're worrying even too much about a situation that you generally can't do anything about because it's not in you don't have the resources to fight it. I'm not entirely sure I'm on board with this Nine of Swords. The Nine of Swords is very important to me. It tells me a lot of my own life story, so I'm not sure. It's not peepish. You have a scene here, but I'm not entirely sure that the scene correlates to the meaning of the card. And the Ten of Swords, well, I mean, I'm not a fan of, 10 swords impaled on a body with blood everywhere, but I have to say, this doesn't really speak to me of 10 of Swords. I like the fact that there's, this kid with 2 swords and they're ready to look in front of them and there is a sun. Maybe this is a step afterwards, so maybe this is a step, after you've been knocked down for the 10th time and you're still picking yourself back up, and now you're actually taking a couple of swords with you, or I don't know what these are. They don't look like swords to me. They look like daggers maybe, but you want to look ahead, and that's the last time that you fall. You know what I mean? So you hit rock bottom, you're picking yourself up again, and this time no one is going to push you back down. So maybe there is something there, because I do read that in the Ten of Swords, like you hit rock bottom already. It couldn't get any worse than that. So you might as well pick yourself back up. The Page of Swords, with this amazingly big and heavy sword, struggling to keep it up. I like it because it tells me that this is the weight of knowledge, and the Page of Swords is just starting, and they're always asking why. And it's almost as if, what's out there for them is just too much for them to carry, so like it. The Knight of Swords, I'm not entirely on board. I don't like that the sword is pointing down. It feels almost as if this knight was giving up, and I don't associate that with the Knight of Swords. The Knight of Swords doesn't always win, but doesn't care, because the important thing for them is to fight for their own ideals. So I don't necessarily see the sense of fighting here. The Queen of Swords, that's, I like it. The Queen of Swords is my significator. Why do I like it? Because there's, I don't know if you can tell, but on the swords there's some indents and cracks, and it feels like they mirror the scars that one can have. And she is standing up, but she needs the sword, to stand up. she's leaning on the sword. And I like that because it tells you that it's a Queen of Swords that has been through a lot. It's still standing because that is their destiny. But at the same time, they also need to lean on, they need the strength of the scars that they have on their body to sustain them. Loving this. Again, I am probably reading too much into it. I'm not entirely sure that this was the intention of the creator to express this from the card, but that's what I get out of it. And the King of Swords is, again, there is this sense of having done what they needed to do and now taking a break. They're very similar altogether. And then we're moving on to the Wands. So the Wands, these Two of Wands looks very similar to the Two of Swords, but I don't dislike it, but I would have preferred the character to look the other way because I'm not the one telling the character where they can go or if their world is big enough for them. Three of Swords. Yeah, it's a bit creepy, but I like it. I mean, again, I'm not entirely on board on the fact that they're looking at me. I'm not there to conquest. Maybe they look at the tarot reader thinking you're my conquest and I need to, I need to conquer you. I don't know. Okay, finally a Four of Swords, a Four of Wands, sorry, that is looking on the other way, but this is the one card in which I would have preferred to have more people. Supposed to tell me about celebration of a deal, a contract, a deal, a marriage, etc. I don't know whether there's celebration, maybe these flowers are yellow because there's a joy in the air, perhaps. And this looks like one of the bunnies from Alice in Wonderland. And the Five of Wands, why do I keep on saying swords? The Five of Wands, honestly, I don't really see the energy, the conflicted energy here. As a matter of fact, it looks to me like it's a very aligned kind of energy. So the floors are going in the same direction, which is not what I think when I think about the Five of Wands. The Six of Wands is very beautiful, really like it. There might be this sense of victory because the directionality of the gazes of these birds is looking up. So maybe there is something about that, and the colors here as well. But again, I'm just really, am I grasping at straws? The Seven of Wands here, you're standing up for what you believe in, but because you forgot to acknowledge the team in the victory of the Six of Wands, you're by yourself and everyone else is against you. Don't really see that, but I do see the sense of standing up for yourself. I would have preferred to see less wands carried by the character in the middle and some wands pointing at him. The Eight of Wands, no. The Eight of Wands for me is more like, so this could be a Seven of Wands for me because but not even that, I don't know. In any case, definitely not on board with this Eight of Wands. There's stillness here. The Eight of Wands is all about speed, it's all about movement, it's all about almost too much movement and almost too much speed, because it's almost as if you're going down a road 100 miles per hour and you don't really know where you're going, and if there's going to be an exit, you're going to miss it because you're too fast. So I really don't see that here. The Nine of Wands should be about resilience. If one of these wands were bent or broken, I would definitely see it, but it's not. And the Ten of Wands, missing the point here. The boy is not carrying anything. Where is the sense of exhaustion, carrying too much burden, and most of this burden is not even yours to carry, so I don't really see it here. The Page of Wands is all about adventure. I like it. But then again, the Knight of Wands is the adventurer. This is the spark of the energy of fire in the Page of Wands. If this had been a light with fire, I would have been on board. This one is a light with fire, and but I don't sense the sense of wonder. If these two should be swapped somehow for me to be happy. The Queen of Wands is very beautiful. I like it. There is fire here. It's also really dressed up, almost as if she were about to perform. So I like it. I like this in the Queen of Wands. And finally, a King of Wands that doesn't look incredibly exhausted. Maybe because there is this power of fire. I don't know. So we've looked more or less all of the cards. So I am really waiting for your comments, because as I said at the beginning of this video, and I confirm this to you now that I've shared my first impression, I like it. There's nothing wrong with it. Some of the cards are really off topic, I feel, but some others are really incredibly eloquent to me. It is creepy but sweet at the same time. There's a lot of symbols related to the eyes, and I really like that, because obviously it's talking about daydream, so you're dreaming at the same time, so you're keeping your eyes closed, but it's during the day, so you're also awake and conscious of what you're thinking and feeling. So I would say I don't want to give it a rating, because a rating depends on what you're used to, and I have a lot of decks. So, you know, if you only have, let's say, 10 decks, and you look at this one, maybe you will rate it better than I do, but I have some incredible decks in my collection, and I cannot be on board of saying this is a great deck. So at the beginning of the video, I was doubted about the hype surrounding this deck. Is it worth it, or is it a bit artificial? And by artificial, what I mean is, you know, it feels like it's marketing driven, as in, let's really you know, talk about this deck in many social media platforms in order to generate interest. And you know, it worked because I bought it, right? It worked on me because I bought it. And as I said, I'm not gonna rehome it. I like it. It's just that some cards really feel like the person I don't know, creating them, maybe they had only partial knowledge of tarot, or if I'm missing something, then please let me know. I'm always happy to correct myself. In any case, what do you think about this deck? If you have it, please let me know in the comments below. Do you like it? Is it worth the hype? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in a couple of days. Bye!